It's sort of like if somebody took a modern day Disney princess movie and then also combined it with a buddy comedy and then slapped the Predator skin on top of it. Now, please don't get me wrong. I actually really enjoyed the movie, but enjoying the movie and being a good movie that is coherent and marketable are definitely separate things. This movie was such a wacky romp that I actually wanted to go and see it a second time before I made this video, but then I didn't. Obviously, spoilers. I'm going to be going over the entire plot of this movie, at least what I can remember of it. The movie opens with two predators in armor fighting each other, and through dialogue, we come to understand that they are brothers, and the younger one is currently fighting to be basically allowed into the clan. I'm going to get into it in a moment. Just stick with me here. As they're fighting, the younger brother is losing, and so the older brother is like, "Come on, use the cave to your advantage." And immediately I was like, that's going to come back later. There's going to be some kind of use the environment to your advantage. Do you think I was right? And obviously, if you know anything about predators, you know that they are like a warrior species, and so they're fighting effectively to the death. And the older brother is winning and winning, and then basically gets the younger one over a cliff, and he's like, "Do you surrender?" And the younger one is like, "Obviously not." And then he's like, "Good," and he knocks him off the cliff. And of course, he manages to catch himself, climbs back up, and the reason I'm going into this in so much detail is because it does become relevant later, so just bear with me. And through some slightly clumsy expedition dialogue, we discover that the younger one saved the elder one from some kind of space beast when they were younger. And that's the reason why he's sort of taking a special interest in him. The younger one was supposed to die. He's like malformed, and that's sort of like, the it's like the Spartans, right? Like the weak ones are supposed to just be killed right off the bat. Actually, I'm just gonna start using their names now because I think that that makes sense for what I want to just talk about before we move further into the plot. So the younger one, our protagonist, is Deck, and then his elder brother is Quay. So the thing that I wanted to sort of mention right off the bat is that it's kind of weird that the predator is the protagonist and like they just have full on dialogue. Like they're speaking on the level of like humans and they have subtitles. And basically, the entire movie is subtitles, except for a little bit like later we get like English speaking characters. But for Deck, he is subtitled the entire movie, and there's like clearly like heavy emotions. So they're like revealing to us in this like opening scene how there's this sort of like fraught family and this brotherhood thing, and it's like. You guys remember the first Predator, right? Like, what's happening? Anyways, moving on with the plot. In what feels like kind of an obvious turn of events, their father shows up at the cave, surprise, like, "Oh, you're a shame for our family, like dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow." Like, basically, again, it's like the Spartan thing, right? It's like you're malformed, you're weak, you're tiny, and like we don't want you in our clan, basically. And so Quay was supposed to kill him, but because of the life debt. So the dad is all like, if you want something done right, you have to do it yourself." And so he like throws one of his predator tech things at Deck and it traps him in like a laser field. And he is like, "Quay, if you don't kill him, I'm gonna kill him." And again, in a fairly predictable turn of events, Quay walks up to Deck and it's like, oh, he's gonna kill him, but then he sets him free and actually attacks their father, and then there's a little bit of a fight, and like Deck gets thrown back into the spaceship that they came to the like cave planet on, and then he is like, "Oh no, I'm gonna help my brother," so he starts to run, but then Quay uses his arm thingy to be like, "Nope, I'm closing the doors and I'm making the ship take off," so that Deck is basically like gonna escape. And like any good Disney origin story, we have the evil king basically kill the sympathetic brother as, our protagonist looks on helplessly, banging on the glass, and the ship takes off on like autopilot. Deck is without his predator like gear and especially helmet for most of the movie. And honestly, like I love the little like double mouth fangy thing that they have that like it like stretch it. There's like four teethies like here and here, and it goes like blah blah. Sorry. So, thing I forgot to mention, the thing with the predators is that they have like a coming of age type thing where they get their invisibility cloak and they have to defeat a beast, but like it's like you have to call your shot. So they pick from like this digital Rolodex of monsters. First time seeing that, anyways. And Deck is like, that one. And he's like, that's the unkillable. I can't remember what it's called. I'm just going to call it the Lorax. Wait, hang on. The Dr. Seuss estate might sue me. Okay, we're just going to call it the Morlax. Okay, so right away, Deck decides that he's going to kill the unkillable Morlax, and Quay's like, but it's unkillable. And he's like, nah, I'll kill it. And that's the only way I can win my father's true love. Wait, hang on. I can win my father's like honor or whatever. Quay had begrudgingly set the ship to like take him to the planet where the Morlax lives. So he crash lands on the planet, and obviously it's like the ship is wrecked. So he, again, doesn't have his armor on or anything, and he basically grabs what he can and exits into what is effectively the everything is trying to kill you all the time, everywhere, all over its planet. Immediately, Deck is like, coming up on these weird pods and when he gets too close to them they start expanding, and then there's like these like super sharp needles, and it turns out that like the pods are full of poison, and if the needles hit you then you'll be like fully paralyzed in like 30 seconds or something and then dead in a minute. And then he like tries to go in the grass, but it turns out that the grass is like razor glass or glass grass. It's like basically like all the grass is actually shards of glass. And as our protagonist is bumbling along and trying not to get killed and kind of failing, he's definitely like it's building up to him getting hurt, obviously. He hears a voice and he looks, and there is a human looking woman all like tied up in a tree, like up on a hill from him. And it very conspicuously only shoots her from like here, like the rib cage up. And yeah, we'll get to that. I'm remembering correctly, it does become known like fairly quickly that she isn't human, but like she does look like a human. Anyways, the way they get around having to subtitle all her dialogue because she does begin speaking to him in they say the name of the species. I'm just going to keep calling them predators because I should have looked at but I didn't. Anyways, she starts speaking to him in like his language, but then she's like, hang on, I'm gonna do like my universal translator software thingamajig. And so like basically the way that her universal translator works is she's like, okay, now I'm speaking English, but like when I speak English, you're gonna hear the predator language. And she says it in this like really fourth wall breaking way where she's like, yeah, so like even if I'm speaking like my language, anyone else will hear like the language that like they speak. And again, it was just like, who else? You are the only ones there. It bizarre. Anyway, to make a long story short, we learn that the woman's name is Thea, and she's trying to convince Deck to help her get her down from this like twist of tangled like vines and branches that she's stuck in. And he's basically like, no, I work alone. Predators work alone. And like literally his dialogue was so much like Drax from the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. That's exactly like if you want to imagine what all of Deck's dialogue was like, just picture Drax, like the very like nothing goes over my head. I'm too fast. I would catch it. Like that kind of thing. And like, admittedly, some of it was kind of funny, but a lot of it was not. Anyway, to pick up the pace a little bit here, oh my gosh, the deck gets hit with one of the poison things. Thea's like, I know where the antidote is, but you have to help me. So he throws her like a blade thing, and she cuts herself down and gives him the antidote. And when he wakes up, that's when you realize that she is just torso. She has no legs. And she's a robot, obviously. She's just like wires and like endoskeleton like hanging out of the bottom of her. And she's like, hey, now that you are safe and alive, why don't you help me find the person who I was on my mission with? He's like, nah, I'm good. I'm on my way to kill the Morlax. She's like, well, I know where the Morlax lives. He's like, tell me then. She was like, well, it's all extremely predictable dialogue. Anyways, he takes her with him and it's very funny. He like carries her by like the jacket. He's like carrying her at the side like a suitcase. And she's just talking and talking and talking, and it's like he's getting annoyed and like rolling his eyes. And again, it's like if you remember the Predators from the first movie, this is very, and like again, like buddy comedy slash like Disney movie where you have like the serious main character who's like trying to get something done, and then the sort of like unserious comic relief character, and like she's always trying to explain things to him, and he's not getting it, and like all these kind of things, and it's just, yeah. The one line that I actually did find very funny was when he finally breaks down and builds a like harness thing out of vines and branches and stuff like that to basically carry her like a brick. And when he finally like gets her on, he's like, there, now you can talk that direction. And like I laughed. Then we have a monster fight sequence and another monster fight sequence. I believe Jenny Nicholson said it best when she was like, I think studios must like mandate like having some kind of chase sequence or action sequence like every so often, like not so much time can elapse without like one of these scenes. Oh, there's like a big scary elephant, bison, rhino thing, and it lives in like the glass grass. And so like Deck is like, oh, is that the Morlax? And Thea's like, no, that's what the Morlax eats. And so Deck is like, oh, then I shall eat it too, which again, I kind of liked. But again, because it lives in the razor grass, he can't get to it. So then he's like, oh, I'm gonna figure out a different way. So he's like climbs a tree and he's gonna like swing onto it and whatever. And the point is that there's like an extended fight sequence where he's like trying to kill this like rhino looking thing, and then like during this sequence they meet a little monkey looking, it looks exactly like a monkey. It's like sort of supposed to be, I suppose, like an alien, but it really to me just looks like a monkey. It's made apparent to us that this monkey thing can like go into the razor grass without getting hurt. So keep that in mind also. Cut to a campfire where our hero, our comic relief, and our fucking animal sidekick are all just sitting around eating the meat of the thing that they killed in the previous scene. And of course, Thea loves the little monkey thing, which she nicknames Bud. Of course, Deck doesn't like it because he's like, I don't have feelings. Predators don't like little cute things or whatever. And then, okay, this is one of the best bits of foreshadowing that they actually like did and used, and it paid off, and they didn't like over explain it, cram it down our throats. Like it was actually the one like through line that I really respected in this movie, and I'm gonna give it away to you as we go through because I don't want to spoil it up front. It's actually pretty fun. It's like seriously the only good thing in this movie. So basically the initial setup here, which I'm talking about, is that the little monkey thing spits on Deck. And he, of course, is offended because now he has monkey spit all over him. And Thea is like, no, no, it means she likes you. It means that she is making you part of her tribe, part of her clan, part of her like family or whatever. So as they're going through the forest, also Thea is like explaining about how she was on a mission with her partner. And basically, the idea is that because this planet is so inhospitable, no human can survive long enough to do the work that they needed to do there. So the company, the currently unnamed company that she works for, or I guess was made by, has sent teams of only these like hyper advanced robots. Like they're fully robotic, um, but they are like sentient. Um, and then it's like sort of over explained a little bit that Thea and her partner Tessa are the only robots that have the capacity to feel like empathy and emotions and stuff like that, which is why she misses Tessa so much. Because, like, even though she's a robot, she had like a connection with this partner who she worked with like the whole time she was there. And I also think it's around this point that she tells Deck that the Morlax is the one that like destroyed her, threw her into the forest where she got tied up in that nest of some other creature, and then also like disappeared Tessa basically. And so like she's like, "Oh, I want to go and find it too." She's like, "I'm gonna take you to the Morlacks." So, it's sort of like this pattern, which is like Disney movies and like family adventure movies, where you sort of have like action scene, soft, sort of emotionally driven conversation where someone is resistant and someone is soft, and then an action scene, rinse and repeat. Eventually, they do get to a base, and we see on all the containers it says, can you guess? Wayland Yutani. In case you don't know, the Wayland Yutani Corporation is the company from the movie Alien. So, all the way back in that first Alien movie, the Wayland Yutani Corporation were the ones who were like doing all the bad stuff, basically. And it was established in the movie Alien versus Predator that they share a universe, clearly. And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, they're setting up another Alien versus Predator. Huh. Did anybody want that? Was anybody asking for another Alien versus Predator? Was anyone even asking for more Predator movies? But I digress. So when they get there, Deck is like, "Hey, you lied to me. You didn't bring me to the Morlax. You brought me to like your company stuff." And basically Thea's like, "I'm sorry. I needed my legs, and I also really need to find Tessa. And so I needed to use you to get me here." To be honest, I kind of saw something like this coming, especially when they introduced Tessa. Tessa is an identical robot to Thea. Tessa has a lot more damage and was in way worse shape than Thea. I guess the other Wayland Yutani robots found all of her pieces and they put her in like a capsule pod, like, the thing that Vision is made in Age of Ultron, something like that. And some computer voice is talking to her. It's called Mother. Like Mother is an acronym, and Tessa, did you complete your mission? And it's like, yes. And like, it's like, this is bad foreshadowing. This is the kind of foreshadowing where it's like so heavy-handed that you're like, oh my God, we get it. It's like Thea has an evil twin, like surprise. And speaking of studio mandated action scenes, right as Deck is basically about to storm off on Thea and be like, screw you, you lied to me. Guess what should appear but the Morlax. I'm sorry, I really wish I remembered what it was called. This is really stupid. It, first of all, looks nothing like it looked on the hologram. On the hologram, it really looked a lot more like a big, like, lion, dragon, like, scary, huge, like, I don't even know what to compare it to. It definitely was like a chimera of sorts. And this was just like kind of like a lion with a humanish face, very uncanny valley, and it's like got a weird stegosaurus tail. And look, it's not important. The point is that it's like, oh no, it's the Morlax, and it's like it's not scary. Obviously, since Deck doesn't believe it's unkillable, we get the big action sequence where he fights the Morlax, and at the end of the fight, he's like, and decapitates it, and then it it reconnects its head, like exactly like in Princess Mononoke with the forest spirit, when it's like its head is like a bunch of like tendrils. It's really creepy looking, but also very cool looking. Also, why am I comparing everything to other things? I have a healthy relationship with media. So, since the Morlax didn't die when Deck decapitated it, he has to start fighting it again, obviously. And then, some point in here, we cut to Tessa finding Deck's crashed ship, so the crashed Predator ship, and she hits some buttons and it reveals like the Predator armor that is Quay's, I believe, and then she finds a bunch of their weapons. And as you know, hopefully you know if you know anything about predators, that they have like all this like hyper advanced technology, right? Like they don't believe in just like killing something, right? Like they have to make it exquisite and elaborate because that's who they are as a species. And one of the weapons that she discovers is a grenade looking thing that basically is like liquid nitrogen. So when you throw it at something and it opens, it well, actually, it kind of looks like a Pokeball, if I'm honest. Anyway, basically, it opens up, and then the thing that it hit starts freezing slowly, like from the spot where it was hit, like as if it was touched by liquid nitrogen. Like in the second Terminator movie. Cut back to Deck, still fighting the Morlax, and then it like pins him down with one paw, and it leans down, and it's like got this terrifying like mouth, and then like another mouth, and like lots of teeth, and like obviously it's like a killer planet monster thing. But then it stops and it sniffs Deck and it starts sniffing all him, and then it stops attacking. And they never address this because immediately after that, Tessa appears and she hits the Morlax with one of those liquid nitrogen bombs, and it freezes it. So it's not dead, it can't regenerate, it's just frozen in like a stasis. And that's like, hey, thanks so much, Deck. You gave us a way to capture this thing that we couldn't figure out how to capture. Because as it turns out, we're evil. Bet you didn't see that coming. And the thing we're actually doing is we're harvesting all the poisonous killing stuff on this planet so that we can use it to kill other stuff. Anyway, they also take Jack into captivity. Shocker surprise. And this is sort of where I felt like the movie started dragging because it sort of seemed like there were too many plots happening. Like if they were going to do the Wayland Yutani thing, that they probably should have brought it in earlier. And like, why did we have to see the entire fight between Quay and Deck, and then Quay and their father, and then all these monster fight scenes that are like full fight scenes, like probably at least 4 to 5 minutes each, if not more. So basically, all the evil robots are like in trucks on a train. They're, I think they're in trucks trying to like go back to their spaceship or something. Anyways, they have Deck strapped down to like a medical table. Tessa is the one doing all of this because, of course, and then Thea is there and she's like, hey, you don't need to do this because he's like bad specimen. He's like a weak, like inferior predator because, like, again, in the beginning, they made all this big deal about how he's malformed, and really it's just an excuse to have him be approximately the size of a person and have like a person-sized head, with Thea being all like, hey, don't like hurt him or whatever. Tessa's all like, don't you remember why our mother gave us empathy and like the ability to feel feelings? And this is where we get our second big reveal. And it's like, oh my gosh, what they actually had feelings for was so that they could learn all of the like sensitivities and connect with all the animals and the different species on the planet so that they could use those things to manipulate them and use it to their advantage. What a twist. Anyways, we can kind of skip over a bunch of the like action here. Deck escapes from the truck, and Thea has like her change of heart, and so she's like basically decommissioned and turned off. And then I can't believe that this movie is still going, honestly, at this point. Like I said, there's too many plots. So then Deck now goes back to the ship, the crash ship, and he like is like, "Oh, Quay, like I failed you again." And then he finds something that makes him honestly, it's not that good, you guys. The point is that he is like, "Okay, I'm gonna go save Thea because I've now had a change of heart. I'm no longer this big tough lone warrior." You know the drill. This next overly long action sequence takes place at like the Wayland Yutani like warehouse slash docking bay. So I guess it's like where they keep all the stuff that they've been harvesting and they're trying to load it up onto a spaceship to like take it away so that they can actually use it in their labs and make stuff to hurt people or do whatever evil stuff that they do. I don't know. Then, because it's all robots, you can have Deck come out of nowhere and do all these like ninja, hidey, kicky, ripping people's limbs off and snapping their necks and everything, but there's no blood, right? Because they're just all robots, so they just come up like he just rips them apart. And I thought that was kind of a nice touch if you wanted to make like a PG Predator movie because it's like, oh, you can have all the violence with none of the gore, and that's what like affects the rating, right? But also, why are you trying to make a PG Predator movie? Like, I'm just like, could you not have just used a different property if you were I'm, why Predator? Why? And okay, there is like a kind of funny scene where like Thea is like her torso and her legs are both fighting together, but they're like independent. Like her legs are like independent of her body, but they still like listen to her and it was kind of okay. I'm okay with it. So right before Deck goes to the warehouse, this is the big long payoff I was talking about. So remember how the monkey thing, Bud like spat on him around the campfire and he was mad about it. And then Thea was like, no, it's like she likes you. And then when the Morlax attacked him, it sniffed him and then stopped attacking him. And then when he's like alone and it's like after Thea has been taken away, but before he goes to try to rescue her, he comes back into contact with the monkey thing. And then he realizes that the reason the Morlax stopped attacking him is because this thing had spat on him because this thing is its child, basically. So this is a baby Morlax. So now there's this sort of like soft-hearted, like, oh, Deck has like a second motivation for going to the Wayland Yutani facility. Anyways, we're finally getting into the final action scene of the movie. Actually, it's the second to last, but we'll get there. This is sort of like the big boss fight with the big bad evil guy, where we have Deck fighting Tessa in the big yellow robot suit from Alien that Sigourney Weaver pilots. And it's like, did we forget that this was a Predator movie? Like, it's one thing to like share a universe and make some sly references to the fact that they're gonna, work in another probably Alien versus Predator, but this was like, you know, what? Like, guys, it's like borrowing and stealing. Anyways, I'm not going to describe the fight scene beat for beat for you because I'm sure you can probably assume how it goes down. The only sort of unexpected thing is that like Tessa has like one of those liquid nitrogen bombs left, and so she is about to activate it, and then like the Morlax is set free from like the box it was in, and it eats her, and then it's like reunited with its baby and it's all like it's a very cute moment where they like butt heads and it's cute and it's sweet, and then like the mother butts heads with Jack and it's like super cute and it's so sweet and it's like a Disney movie, and I'm like, guys, who is this movie for? Unfortunately, because Tessa activated the bomb right before she was eaten, it like freezes the Morlax from the inside out and then it like explodes into dust and it actually does die, and like that's how you defeat it. So we get the ship working again. There's Thea, there's Bud the monkey thing, and you sort of have this like it's about the family you found resolution, which again, very Disney movie, but whatever. It's friendship was the real treasure all along kind of ending. Or is it? Because that's not the ending. That should be the ending. All of them flying off into space to have their happy little family friend adventures or whatever, right? That should be the end, but it isn't. What we get is the next scene, which is Deck landing the ship on like the predator planet directly in front of like the palace where his dad lives. And his dad obviously comes out. He's like not only is the Morlax dead, but I also killed like the thing that killed it, and then he like shows like the robot skull of Pessa. The Predator King guy doesn't know what that is, so he's like, "Hey, you're still weak and pathetic, and like get off my planet. I should have killed you when you were born." And then they fight. And we get a whole fight scene of Deck fighting his dad, and obviously, like, because his dad has the invisibility ability that, like, makes predators predators, and Deck never got that. It's like he's at a disadvantage, and it's like, oh no, like, Deck is gonna get beat by his dad. And it's like, why are we still raising the stakes at this point in the movie? And at like when his dad is invisible and he's starting to lose, he like remembers the like use the cave lesson from the very beginning of the movie, and he uses his boop beep boop thing to make the ship like hover, and because it's hovering, it kicks up all this dust, and then the dust reveals where his dad is. And so he's able to kill his dad and take his invisibility cloak thing. And then once his dad is defeated, then it's like revealed that Thea and Bud, the monkey thing, which is now like a teenager, I guess, are also there. And they're like, yay. And that would also be an okay ending. It would be bad, but it would be better than how it goes on. And yes, it goes on, and like they're about to get on to the spaceship and like do the thing and go off and have their adventure, but then there's like a loud sound, and then another like spaceship like rises up from behind a cliff, and it's like clearly one of the predator ships, and Thea's like, oh, is that a friend of yours? And Deck is like, no, that's my mother. End title card. Kind of ending is that? Okay, so many problems. Why did the movie go on for so many extra scenes? Why was this the way it is? I think I said it at the beginning. If I didn't, I'm gonna say it now, or I'll say it again, is that like I actually really had a lot of fun watching this movie. I really enjoyed it. As somebody who understands quite a bit about marketing, it's sort of like what was the audience of this movie? Because like I hate to say this because I hate when things are gendered, but the first way I put it was like it sort of feels like Predator for girls. It was like an emotional story, and like it was very cute and it was funny, and like Deck is like with his thingies. Anyways, I thought it was funny, but I also thought it was very bad. It was not a good movie. I've really been trying not to ask people to like and subscribe, but sometimes people just don't even think about it. And the truth is that the YouTube algorithm is so messed up right now, it's not recommending anything properly. So if you did like the video, consider even just liking it, right? It tells other people that it's worth watching, and YouTube likes that, so it would really mean the world to me. Otherwise, seriously, watching the video is a huge help, and thank you so much for sharing this with me. Remember, stay happy and stay healthy because you are precious.